Ling Si thought about Dumpling. He remembered Kaja saying that he was the reason Dumpling was seriously injured and she would settle the score with him later. There was an explosion. The main character was running among the trees, thinking he had a strong sense of déjà vu. Southern Kingdom outskirts. The NPC watched as he ran down the road, descending with a girl dressed as a magician. He ordered the death of a player from the Southern Kingdom. A stream of purple energy tore the girl in front of him apart. The NPC guy asked in amazement what kind of power this was. Another stream of violet energy approached him with a flash. Turning around, Ling Si thought that he was glad that she was helping him deal with these NPCs. Looking at Kaja floating in the air, he thought that she had reached level 120 after him. Kaja angrily shouted at him that she would not allow him to put Dumpling in danger anymore. The main character said that this is getting really troublesome. Hearing Dumpling, his mouth opened. Dumpling asked his mother not to be angry because he just wants her to help him a little. Smiling, she said that perhaps it was something only she could do. Ling Si thought that she was also level 120 now. He shouted that she was right, and only Dumpling could help with this problem. He told Kaja not to worry because it wouldn't be too dangerous there. Kaja annoyedly shouted at him to shut up and asked if he had forgotten how he mysteriously injured her daughter so horribly. She suddenly returned to her small form and Dumpling said that she was using all her powers again. Kaja cursed and shouted that her reborn body was too useless. Sighing, the main character said that she finally stopped. The sky above the forest turned into evening colors. Ling Si asked Dumpling what the situation was. Dumpling told him she didn't think it was working. The main character was silent for a while, thoughtfully rubbing his chin. He remembered Dark Lion saying that since they were all locked into the game, the initiative to set the rules was clearly not in the hands of the players, and the only way he could think of to interfere with the operation of the game was by external means. The only one who could do this right now, it's his pet. Ling Si thought that, indeed, Dark Lion's analysis was not wrong, and now that the communication system was missing, only Dumpling had the ability to contact the real world. He asked Dumpling how she traveled to the real world before. Dumpling said that she didn't know, and at that moment she just thought that she wanted to be close to him, and then she naturally fell on the other side. The main character asked in amazement that it was so simple. He said that now she can't do it because he's not in the real world. It dawned on him and he opened his eyes wide. He told her to try to think of something important that she wanted in the real world. She looked at him in amazement. Pointing his finger at her, Ling Si shouted, "Amusement park, candy, ice cream, and Grandpa's delicious food." Dumpling remembered the old man in the kitchen apron and with sparkling eyes said that she wanted it all. Her silhouette was covered in pixels. Finding herself in the kitchen of their house in the real world, she called out to the old man. He turned around, noticing her. He exclaimed that they had not seen each other for a long time. He asked why she came back alone, and didn't Ling Si enter the game at noon. Dumpling said he was sleeping. Once next to the gaming capsule, she began to call the main character and knock on the glass. The old man said worriedly that Ling Si was still in the game and she couldn't mess around. Dumpling shouted to the main character to wake up. Rubbing her chin, she said, puzzled, that she couldn't wake him up. She remembered Ling Si telling her to try to wake her up in the game equipment first thing when she returned, and if she didn't succeed, to go to his room. He said that there was a communication device in his mailbox that she would need to use to call the number he gave her. The old man worriedly asked what exactly happened. Dumpling quickly ran out of the room. The old man thought that he had not seen Dumpling for a long time, and she seemed to have grown a lot. The room full of computers was bustling. Adolf shouted to hurry up and activate all the backup measures, and they must restore the connection to the game at any cost. He said that he wants to know the exact situation of the game at the moment. The guy shouted that they couldn't do it because all their connections to the game were blocked, and no matter what they tried, nothing worked. He said that they could only wait for a breakthrough from the game's management team. Adolf objected that they could not wait. He ordered to continue trying. Gritting his teeth, he thought that even the military's communications were blocked. He wondered what happened in the game. After receiving the call, he exclaimed that Ling Si was calling him at such a time. The voice on the other side of the call said, "Dumpling, it's gone through." Dumpling said that Ling Si is looking for them. Adolf asked if it was Ling Si. He said that this is not Ling Si's voice. He asked who it was and where they got this communication device from. The old man scratched his head and said that he himself was not sure what was going on. But Ling Si, being in the game right now, told them to contact him in reality. Adolf asked what the situation was and if they meant that Ling Si told them to contact him while he was in the game. The old man said yes, and to be more precise, this is what his granddaughter said when she returned from the game. Adolf said thoughtfully about his granddaughter returning from the game. Turning around, he asked if there was a way for them to restore their communication channels now that they could send information to the game. The guys said they would try. The girl said that when she tried to interfere with the communication channels of the guilds in the game, she received a constant response. Adolf asked why she continued. The girl said that there is a necessary condition for the intervention to be successful, which can only be fulfilled in the game. Adolf told her to quickly tell her what the condition was. Kaja said that someone needs to reclaim the guild's territory in the game. She said that if this happened, they could use a special military channel to replace the guild's communication channel. The main character, sitting on a Pegasus, thanked her for transmitting messages between him and Dumpling. Kaja shouted that she wanted to finish this quickly. Smirking, Ling Si told her not to worry, because Dumpling would not face any danger in the real world, and now they knew how to restore the communication channel. Flying through the air, he thought that now he needed to hurry to Penumbra's headquarters. He thought that the terrain around Penumbra's headquarters was plains. Frowning, the protagonist thought that even if he took it back, they would have to defend against NPCs' attacks for a long time, and he would need a large number of players. He thought that this was not suitable for the current situation, and he needed to find a guild with a terrain that was easy to defend and difficult to attack. It dawned on him and he raised his eyebrows. He thought that such a place was a creature. Ling Si thought that he really had to thank the previous guild war for letting him know how good this place was. Advent of 1,000 Autumn's guild headquarters. Smirking, the protagonist apologized to Kyujin Shin and said that his guild now belonged to him. Penumbra Guild Child. Coco Lee and Stillwaters ran in the crowd. Coco Lee asked the main character in the chat if he really took down 1,000 Autumn's headquarters alone. Ling Si said yes and asked where she was right now. Coco Lee replied that she and Stillwaters were near the southern part of the Northern Kingdom and the northern part of the Central Kingdom. Coco Lee said that they gathered a small team of players and fighting their way to 1,000 Autumn's headquarters. The main character said no because they are too far away. He told them to go to Potion King Avenue first because they needed help there urgently. Narlo wrote that he was finally able to contact Ling Si. He told him to wait for him and he would soon be at his side. The main character asked where he is now. Narlo replied that he was in the Eastern Kingdom. The main character remained silent, and Narlo said that it was not a problem, and they had a way to come running to him very quickly. Dira asked Tiana if she was okay. Tiana replied that she was fine, but she and Little Bean were locked in the villa and couldn't get out. Dira asked where they were and said that she would immediately come to her aid. Tiana replied that the villa should be on the outskirts of the Central Kingdom. Dira, cursing, said that it was too far from her. The main character asked Narlo if he could fetch Dira and the others too. Narlo replied that he wanted to be near him as soon as possible. Ling Si told him that the situation was urgent. Narlo asked him to send the coordinates. The main character asked Tiana if there were problems on her side. Tiana said they're trapped right now, but they're managing for now. She told him not to worry because she would figure out a way to get out of this villa. Ling Si told her to send him her coordinates and information about the various settings of the villa, and he would see if he could find a clue. He asked Dark Feather where he was. Dark Feather replied that he was close, already on his way and would come soon. The main character thought that by replacing the Penumbra Guild channel with a military channel, he had figured out the approximate location of the main members of the guild at the moment, except for those whom he had not contacted. He thought it best to clarify the current situation before making his next move. Ling Si imagined game maps with the approximate locations of everyone he contacted. He thought that Dark Feather was closest to 1,000 Autumn's headquarters. Men in armor walked next to the stone fortress. The main character thought that the NPCs nearby had gathered together again, and it looked like they were going to attack the players. He thought that he couldn't leave here before the others arrived. Frowning his brows, he thought that Ruko and Vankafis still hadn't responded to his message. He wondered if they would last. Vankafis stood in her garden. The main character wrote to her that at the moment, the entire Heavenland is like a big battlefield, and the key to victory is logistic supplies, and, without the help of items from NPCs, the last item supply line that players have is Potion King Avenue, which was built by Vankafis. He said that for this reason, Potion King Avenue is crucial, and Vankafis and Ruko must defend Potion King Avenue and Potion King Building. Ruko agreed and said that he would give his all in resisting these NPCs. Ling Si told them to hold on as they would soon come to the rescue. Vankafas frowned and thought that they should protect Potion King Avenue. She raised her head up. She remembered how Ruko, with a big smile, told her to stay here and finish his potion while he went to fight the NPCs. He told her not to worry, he was pretty tough, and before there were too many of these NPCs, he would deal with them. He said that whether they could change the course of the battle later would depend on her new potion. Frowning her brows with determination, Vankafas thought, with her title of Potion King on the line, this potion making cannot fail. An explosion occurred in the city. A dead NPC lay on the ground, bleeding. Ruko ran among the NPCs, shouting to them to come to their death. Gritting his teeth, he thought that he couldn't let these NPCs continue to destroy the Potion King building, and he needed to lure them out of here. Using Divine Mountain, Maximize, he shouted at the NPCs to come to him. In the cloud of dust there were damaged NPCs who were breathing heavily. Surrounded by explosions, Ruko thought that these max-level NPCs were not easy to deal with, and he couldn't kill them even if he used the power of the Divine Mountain because the level difference was too big. He thought that if he used Gigantification as he wished, he would destroy Potion King Avenue, and this was the result of Vankafas's labors and diligence. Frowning, he thought that he could only try to outwit them. Ruko jumped onto the roof of the building. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop, he called out to NPCs. He jumped from the roof onto the square. Landing, surrounded by NPCs, he thought he should just not let them get in Vankafas's way. With a punch, Ruko told them all to come here because he wanted to fight 10. He elbowed his opponent in the face. He punched another NPC in the face with a fist covered in blue energy. Another guard hit with red energy. Ruko ran forward, pushing himself off the ground. He kicked his opponent. Then he turned around sharply. 3 NPCs approached him, brandishing their weapons. A large cloud of dust rose above the ground. Ruko fell heavily to the ground. Smirking, he said that he was unable to fight 10. Looking at the NPCs surrounding him, he said that they were all gathered here. He slammed his blue energy fists onto the ground. Ruko used gravity, oppression, and dark blue energy surrounded them. He jumped up. Using form transformation, he shouted at them not to even think about leaving under his gravity. He thought that he had not used this skill for a long time. A golden shield appeared above his hand. Using Divine Mountain, he armed himself with a shield and ran forward. Ruko used rectangular destruction formation. Yellow energy from the sky hit the ground. He thought, gravity restriction with AoE electric wall dot. Smirking, he thought since he couldn't kill them in one hit with his skills, he would seal them all in a pot and cook them. He thought that in this way he had practically gotten rid of all the Potion King Avenue guards. Noticing movement in the distance, Ruko exclaimed in amazement. He wondered if a new batch of NPCs had gathered to attack the Potion King building. He found that NPCs began to drop dead. Dark Feather was firing pistols, surrounded by crows. Ruko happily exclaimed that it was Dark Feather. He opened his eyes in shock. The Open the Sky skill was used and a huge sword was seen in the middle of the street, shrouded in dark purple energy. Ling Si was visible between the Pegasus's wings. Ruko thought that Ling Si was also here, like a savior. The main character grinned confidently. Advent of 1,000 Autumn's headquarters. Temptress floated in the air above the armored men, surrounded by pink pollen. The enchanted NPC looked up with a goofy grin. The yellow energy immediately hit him in the face. A silhouette was visible on the tower. Blue Cloud said that Ling Si made the right decision in choosing 1,000 Autumn's headquarters, and it is truly a great location. He said that the special thing about this castle is that it is easy to defend and difficult to attack, and now this plays a very important role. Looking at the battle below, he said that they only needed to defend the only entrance to this Highland castle, and they would be able to defend the entire base. The mages were shooting from the towers, and he thought that even they, the small number of players who survived and came from base A, could cope with this defense. Smirking, Blue Cloud thought that he couldn't help but admire Kyujin Shin's taste in choosing a base, and after this was over, he would spend the money to improve Celestial's headquarters. Potion King Avenue. Dark Feather fought on the ground, firing 2 pistols. Ruko slammed his shield, shrouded in blue energy, onto the ground. Using form transformation, it changed in size. He then used gravity, oppression, and the blue energy began to pull the opponents inside. He shouted to Dark Feather about being DPS. The pistols in Dark Feather's hands disappeared. Dark Feather grenade appeared in his hand. throwing grenades in his direction. He told Ruko to dodge. Dark Feather Grenade, a grenade weapon self-developed by Dark Feather. The grenade itself is extremely heavy and has low accuracy, but is extremely lethal. There were strong explosions all over the street. Ruko angrily asked if he wanted to blow up the entire Potion King Avenue. Dark Feather, having landed, answered, GG. Looking at the corpses of the NPCs, Ruko said that his grenades did quite a lot of damage, and they killed another batch of NPCs. He said it was much easier with his help, as expected. Dark Feather, pointing towards the crowd, said that there were even more of them coming from there. Ruko said that they are endless. Stretching his hands, he said that if this continues, sooner or later they will not be able to hold out. Dark Feather pointed to the side. There was an explosion on the roof of the building, shrouded in dark energy. Dark Feather said it seems quite relaxing. Blood could be seen splattering from the NPC's silhouette. Ling Si, holding a dagger in his hand, asked what happened. The NPCs stood silently in place, looking at him and gritting their teeth. Smirking, the main character told them to quickly come to him and get their death. A crowd of NPCs began to run away from him. Ling Si ran after them and said that it would be bad if he let them escape and they would regroup for another attack. The NPCs turned around, clenching their jaws in fear. There was a scream. Smoke rose into the sky from the brick buildings. Vankafis put 6 drops of dragon egg oil in the bottle. Then she added 2 teaspoons of sugar grass and a little orange zest to the potion. Closing her eyes, she thought that this ratio has already been tested to be the most compatible. Green particles connected with each other. Raising her eyebrows, Vankafis opened her eyes. She had the potion in her hands and exclaimed that she had succeeded. Compatibility rate 97%. The main character killed NPCs around him, leaving a purple trail in the air. He stabbed the last enemy with his dagger. Noticing something, he looked up. A gust of wind blew leaves from the trees. The sound of many feet was heard. There was a huge crowd of NPCs in front of the main character. Ling Si thought that they were once again surrounded by another wave of NPCs. Sitting on a tree branch, he thought that these NPCs were attacking Potion King Avenue group by group. He thought that it was as if they were being commanded by someone, and it seemed that the enemy was also aware of the importance of Potion King Avenue for the players. He saw an explosion among the buildings. The main character thought, with Potion King Avenue's ordinary terrain, with just 3 of them, it's really too difficult to hold this place. He thought that although he didn't want to, they could only retreat from Potion King Avenue for a while. He noticed a green rabbit floating in the air. Ling Si discovered the potion in the rabbit's mouth. Dark Feather noticed the rabbit in amazement. When he landed, he said it was a rabbit and it was hopping along Potion King Avenue. Ruko exclaimed that it was Vankafis. He happily said that he was able to develop a new potion. Raising a finger up, Vankafis mentally thanked them. Smiling determinedly, she thought that they had helped buy her time to create the potion. While standing on the roof, she used Potion King, Running Rabbit. Green explosions thundered among the buildings, and she thought that she would defend Potion King Avenue herself. NPCs coughed while standing in the green fog. One of them, gritting his teeth, said that this gas was causing damage to them. Frowning, he added that it had enveloped the entire Potion King Avenue. They looked at the tower surrounded by green gas. Ling Si, standing on the roof, said that she had truly isolated the entire Potion King Avenue, turning it into a fortress that was difficult to enter and exit. Turning around, he asked Vankafis if she thought it was a little too ruthless. Vankafis smiled awkwardly and said that it looked like she had actually used too much. She exclaimed that she only thought that she wanted to protect Potion King Avenue, and she had only developed a rare high compatibility potion and awakened a new skill. She said that of course she wanted to use it as soon as possible and she had no choice anymore. The main character asked about her awakening a new skill. After creating a green bunny with a flick of her finger, Vankafis said that she was talking about these bunnies. She said that it turns out that her Potion King tree had a hidden achievement. The dialog box says, Potion King, Running Rabbit. Consume 2% of mana to create a magic rabbit that can use potions for you. Vankafis said that she can awaken a new skill if she successfully creates 100 different potions with above 90% compatibility. Smiling, she said that this potion she developed was her 100th high compatibility rate potion. Smiling, the protagonist thought that he had almost forgotten that Vankafis from his previous life was not only a business genius, but she was also a very good player in terms of using alchemy magic. Vankafis said that the herb she recently discovered had an extremely special smell, and after several tests, she revealed that this smell could be used well in protection magic. She said that thus this new potion was born. She said that by having her rabbits bring this potion to every corner of Potion King Avenue, then exploding these potions to create a poisonous mist, she could obstruct the breathing of the game's creatures and deal dot. She said this provides a simple and effective protection for Potion King Avenue. The main character said that although she protected it, she also blocked Potion King Avenue's way of communicating with the rest of the world, and he even planned to make this place the most important base in the battle against NPCs. With a wink, Vankafis told him not to worry as she had already covered that aspect. A bottle of blue liquid appeared in her other hand, and she said that when she creates a new harmful potion, she always creates an antidote beforehand. She said that although the current number of antidotes was not enough to eliminate all the potions, if he gave her enough time, it would not be a problem. She said that by then she will be able to return Potion King Avenue to its original condition. Lingxi said that she had prepared well. Vankafis said with a smug grin that the development and control of potions are all basic conduct for them alchemists. The main character, looking down, thought that, in this case, it looks like there is a better option. He shouted that the plan had changed. He told Ruko that he needed him to dig an underground passage after he cleared the battlefield. Ruko said, puzzled, that he was not a gopher. Lingxi told Darkfeather to stay here and take care of the air defense. He said that as long as the Vankafis potion is here, the likelihood of them breaking into Potion King Avenue from underground is low, so that leaves an airborne invasion. He said that he must protect Vankafis so that she can create potions without interference. Vankafis told him not to worry, because she would increase her production as much as possible. The main character said that Potion King Avenue will be the most important supply point in the battle against the great NPC army. Ruko agreed with a smile. Darkfeather asked Lingxi what about him. The main character called on the Pegasus, which appeared behind him. Smiling widely, he said that he would bring more help. Coco Lee and Stillwaters were located between Central Kingdom and Potion King Avenue. Red limbs quickly flew through the air. Coco Lee shot an arrow at the elite road-blocking man-eating flower, which lifted the man off the ground. The guy in armor shouted that it would eat him. The plant began to devour the guy. Coco Lee, gritting her teeth, said that quite a large number of players were eaten, and every time it eats a player, their HP will regenerate. She said that the damage they can do at their levels is not enough to handle its regeneration. The mage girl said that she had easily defeated this monster in her past quests, and she did not expect that it would be so difficult to defeat at level 120. Stillwaters, frowning, said that they couldn't do much damage, and it looked like they couldn't force their way through the road, lest they risk more casualties. He loudly ordered everyone to retreat. The monster shot its vines forward. Coco Lee shouted that it was trying to grab people again. The dagger, leaving a trail of violet energy in the air, cut the vines. Lingxi hit the monster with a blast of purple energy. They exclaimed his name, and the main character turned around. He threw Stillwaters a blue potion into his hand. Stillwaters and Coco Lee looked at the potion in amazement. The main character turned around and said that not far from this road is Potion King Avenue. However, due to Vankafis, Potion King Avenue has become a bit protected, and this antidote can allow them to enter. He told them to leave while he dealt with this monster. They asked if he was going to do it alone. Lingxi said with a grin that he would be better off dealing with it alone, without them helping it replenish HP. They were walking among the trees, and someone asked, is it really okay leaving him alone? Because the enemy is a level 120 elite monster. Coco Lee said that he just joined their guild, so she doesn't blame him for not knowing. She said that killing monsters whose levels are above him is that guy's everyday meal, not to mention that it's just an elite monster of the same level as him. She said there was nothing to worry about and the guys who had just joined their guild would understand how strong their guildmaster was. She said that he might be the most reliable player in Heavenland at the moment. The monster died, and the main character thought that, as expected, it was just an originally low-level monster that suddenly reached level 120, and even if its level increased, its patterns did not change. A dialogue box appeared in front of him. Kaja said there was a new message from Dumpling. She said that the military was able to restore another game communication channel, and he only needed to enter the password to join it. The dialogue box says, send your friends the passcode to invite them into the channel. Lingxi thought that his friend list was not very large. Tilly's, Darkfeather, Ruko, and the rest could use the guild channel to communicate. He thought it was important now to contact the respective guild masters of each large guild. He thought that he had already added Blue Cloud and Hua Zaioi to his friends list in the previous meeting. He thought that, regarding Kyujin Shin, due to spawning in the same mission hall, he added him at the time. Frowning, the main character thought that, of course, there is one more person who is very important. He thought he was wondering if Dark Lions had made any progress and needed to contact him as soon as possible. The system notified that a friend joined the channel using passcode. Kyujin Shin angrily said that he was too nasty, and he forcibly occupied his guild headquarters while he was not around. Ling Si thought that he knew it would be him. After finishing his explanation, he said that this happened because he chose such a good location. Kyujin Shin exclaimed in amazement that he was to blame. The main character said that he praises him for his foresight. Kyujin Shin told him not to even think about gaslighting him, and if he didn't have extremely important things to do, he would definitely fight him to the death. Ling Si told him to calm down because he was just borrowing this place. The system reported that another friend has joined the channel. The main character heard Hua Zaiou's voice. Hua Zaiou asked him to come and save her. Villa, underground prison area. Tiana looked down and asked what the situation was. She asked if they had found anything. Bai Lai said that there are only ordinary prison cells, the inside is all the same, and they are all locked. The girl asked if they could let her go and she could help them too. Bai Lai told her to shut up because she was only alive because of their mercy. He demanded that she tell her what kind of underground prison it was. The girl replied that she had already said that she was not the culprit, and that she had no evidence to the contrary. She did not know that she was the culprit. Someone shouted that they had found something. They started to go down. Standing next to the door, someone said that there was a large locked door. Tiana asked if they could break it. Little Bean said that they tried physical and magical attacks, but nothing worked. He said there was a password input on the door. They've attempted it, and it's a 6-word password. Rubbing her chin, Tiana said that this underground prison should be the same as the villa above, another area with a decryption quest. She said that this door should be the only way out, and they need to somehow find the password. The girl awkwardly said that she wanted to say something. Bai Lai asked if she was finally going to confess. Tiana told her to speak up. The girl said that one of the prison cells was slightly different. She said in amazement that there was a mark above this camera. The girl said it was not like the other prison cells here. She said it looked like a key. Above one of the prison cells was the number 5. Above the other was the number 8. And Little Bean exclaimed that there were only numbers above the other prison cells. Tiana, holding the key, asked if that meant they needed to open the prison cells with the key and find the password. Bai Lai angrily told the girl that she was the culprit, because she was the only one who could find this prison cell. He asked if she was plotting something to hurt them again. The girl exclaimed that she just noticed that this prison cell was different and she saw that there were numbers above each prison cell as she checked them with them. Bai Lai said that it was too suspicious that it was her again. Tiana, frowning, suggested that they first try to open the prison cell with the key. They took the key out of the hole in the wall. The guy with the big shield asked about what they put out front in case there were traps there because he's a warrior, and he has the biggest defense here. Tiana smiled awkwardly and thanked him. Little Bean said it is very reliable. The guy said he was opening it. Opening the prison cell door, he said that nothing had happened. The girl exclaimed that there were no traps here and she would not harm them. Bai Lai told her to go first. Looking around, the girl said that there was nothing at all here. She said there was no trigger on the walls, and there was nothing on the wooden bed, steel chains, toilet or bucket. She said she didn't find anything on the roof either, and it looked like an ordinary prison cell. Tiana said that it looks like finding the password won't be that easy, and they can open the prison cells, but there are a lot of them. She asked what secrets were hidden in them. The guy with the shield said he would open the second prison cell and take a look. He turned the key in the cell lock. Dark energy flashed and the guy opened his mouth. The dark energy threw him back. Tiana and the others opened their mouths in amazement. In front of them stood a level 120 Lost Shadow. They exclaimed that it was an NPC. Hua Zaioi was between the villa and the southern kingdom. Someone handed her tea with trembling hands. Hua Zaioi said that he didn't need to do anything else, and he could go and stand guard further. The beaten gardener and NPC farmer obeyed. Hua Zaioi said that her prince would come to her very soon. She asked how she could meet him. Running around the room, she said that she needed to get ready since they had not seen each other for so long, and he was working so hard outside for their future, and must be very stressed. Covering her face with her hands, she said that this time she must definitely give him a good and pleasant surprise. Fallen Whale asked, since Lingxi has the opportunity to restore communications, is it really alright if they trick him here for unserious matters? With her eyes flashing menacingly, Hua Xiaowei asked about deception and trivial matters. Running up to him, she asked if he understood how important this was for them, and if he wanted to say that he no longer wanted to help her. Smiling awkwardly, Fallen Whale said that he was happy to help her. He thought that Hua Xiaowei was really as terrifying as the rumors said. Hua Xiaowei smiled happily. Someone shouted to her that something was flying here. Hua Xiaowei ordered everyone to take their positions. Fallen Whale sighed and thought that he finally understood Xiao Kun's feelings. The main character was flying on a Pegasus. He noticed the flower petals around him. He found a house completely surrounded by flower petals. Hearing cries for help, his eyes widened. Hua Xiaowei on the ground asked who could come and save her. The guy in the hat grabbed her wrist with an unpleasant grin. Hitting the guy in the face, Hua Xiaowei asked the main character to quickly save her. Lingxi appeared above them. Having landed, he climbed off the Pegasus. He looked to the side in amazement. The guy in Hua Xiaowei stood under the white altar. He told him to put on the item if he wanted to save her. The main character asked about the item. Fallen Whale, appearing behind him, told him to calm down and do as he was told if he wanted to save Hua Xiaowei. The dialogue box says, Rings of Promise. Upon equipping, all information will be shared between the owners of the rings. Lingxi opened his eyes in shock. Hua Xiaowei extended her hand to him with a smile, and the main character asked what this ridiculous cry for help was. Lingxi asked Fallen Whale what was going on. Fallen Whale was dressed in a priest's outfit and sighed heavily, and the main character asked why he was dressed like that. Smiling nervously, Fallen Whale asked if it wasn't obvious. He said that he is here to act as their witness, and that is Hua Xiaowei's entire intention. The main character, in shock, could not find words in response. Hua Xiaowei told him to listen to him and quickly put on the ring, because he was about to get down to business, and she had almost no strength left. The NPC said in confusion that it was obvious that she was controlling his hand. The main character thought that this was a very familiar feeling. Fallen Whale said that all level 120 NPCs are like toys to her, and this woman is terrifying. He told the main character to just obey her. Hua Xiaowei said that Lingxi didn't put on the ring probably because he was worried that she was too shocked by this sudden event. After apologizing, she said that he would know that this was her happy surprise for him very soon. The NPC opened his mouth when he noticed something. Someone waved from behind a tree. The female NPC told him in sign language that she had found reinforcements. The NPC grinned evilly. Taking out a knife, he said that he was no longer going to play with her and she would die. The explosion raised a cloud of dust. A shower of flower petals threw the NPC into a tree. Hua Xiaowei frowned and said that she allowed him to play along in exchange for sparing him, but at the same time he dared to attack her on the sly. Two NPCs jumped to attack her. One of them swung his sword. The main character attacked one of them. Hua Xiaowei said admiringly that he is truly her betrothed prince, because he will definitely immediately save her when she is in danger. Fallen Whale said that it looks like the NPC gardener has gathered other NPCs. With an irritated frown, Hua Xiaowei said that they dared to ruin her carefully prepared surprise. Smirking, Lingxi said that he really should thank them to some extent for helping him escape this strange situation. He said they arrived just in time. By destroying NPCs with purple energy, he said that fighting them was much easier. Noticing something, he looked to the side. The NPCs were surrounded by flower petals. Hua Xiaowei said that they dared to destroy their world for two. She angrily said that they should all die. Using Flower Storm, she scattered enemies in different directions. Blue energy hit the ground hard. Fallen Whale, holding a sword in his hand, said that their numbers are increasing. The main character called out to him, and he looked in his direction. Lingxi said that he had a way to leave this place. Fallen Whale asked what this method was. The main character said, throwing ourselves into Hua Xiaowei's storm. Standing in the center of the flower petal swirl, Hua Xiaowei thought that she didn't expect these NPCs to have so much HP. Frowning, she thought that while she could do crowd control and whittle down their HP, her mana wouldn't last long. The main character called out to her. Hua Xiaowei asked in amazement why he could use his mount during the fight. She looked at him with sparkling eyes. Ling Si extended his hand to her while sitting on the Pegasus, and Hua Xiaoi thought that it was the magic of her betrothed prince. Fallen Whale remembered the protagonist's words that they would borrow the whirlwind created by Hua Xiaoi's skill, with which he could fly high enough to avoid the enemy's range, and then he would summon his mount and get them out of here. Looking to the side, he thought that he had managed to come up with such a method in such a short time, and he was indeed still the same Ling Si. The main character was approaching him on a Pegasus along with Hua Xiaoi. Fallen Whale thought in shock that he had made it. Ling Si grabbed his hand. Tiana and the others killed the shadow. Tiana's health dropped below half, and Little Bean gritted his teeth and said that they were finally able to kill it. The guy in armor was lying on the floor, and Tiana asked how he was. The guy said that it was bad because they suddenly entered the battle, so they didn't have time to heal him, and now it's too late. The girl said sadly that they had lost another player. Bai Lai angrily asked what this was, and who designed such a puzzle game in which a level 120 monster appears out of nowhere. He shouted that there was no warning of what would happen. Tiana told him to calm down. Bai Lai shouted that they had spent so much energy on this monster that just suddenly appeared. They were completely out of HP items, and no one knew when another strange thing would appear in front of them. He asked how he could calm down. He said he shouldn't have joined their team to begin with. Little Bean asked what he was talking about at a time like this. Bai Lai shouted that he thought that he could easily survive this game by following their famous Penumbra guild. But now the players are dying one by one and they don't even have a plan. He shouted that in his eyes, Tiana had not changed at all, and without Ling Si's help, she could not do anything. Tiana opened her eyes in amazement. Using magic, Little Bean angrily shouted at him to shut up and not slander Tiana. Grabbing the ice bow in his hands, Bai Lai told him not to forget that he was Penumbra Guild's former column team member. Little Bean gritted his teeth as an ice arrow approached him. Vines covered the walls and Tiana yelled for them to stop. She said now was not the time for internal bickering and they should not waste any more of their remaining resources. With a stern frown, she told Bai Lai, if he dares to sow discord again, she will kill him immediately. Bai Lai gritted his teeth. Little Bean told Tiana that there was a message for them on the guild channel. Tiana turned around in amazement, and he said that Ling Si is on his way to save them right now. Blue wings flapped in the blue sky. The main character, along with Hua Xiaoi and Fallen Whale, who grabbed the Pegasus's leg, flew forward. Ling Si thought that this villa must be nearby, and the location of Hua Xiaoi's request for help is close to the villa's location. He thought that he should save Tiana and the others as soon as possible, and as time passed, more and more people would begin to gather at Thousand Autumn's headquarters. Frowning decisively, he thought that he needed Tiana's management abilities. Hua Xiaoi, fumbling her fingers awkwardly, said that although she made a fake call for help, it was a small surprise that she wanted to arrange for him, a small token of her affection. She said that she prepared these rings specifically so that they would be their engagement rings. She said with sparkling eyes that she thought they could continue now. Ling Si thought that this is again the thing he's worst at dealing with. Jumping off the Pegasus, he shouted to Fallen Whale that his mount would lead the two of them to Thousand Autumn's headquarters, and Blue Cloud was there too. Smirking, he looked at Hua Xiaoi. He said the game is in chaos right now and they will talk about it when this is all over. Hua Xiaoi thought admiringly that he not only thinks about their happiness, but also about the entire game world. And he is a very responsible man. She shouted that she would wait for him. The main character thought that he really didn't understand how her brain worked, but at least he had an excuse to run away. He landed on the grass. Frowning, he looked around. He thought it was the villa where Tiana and the others were trapped. Ling Si threw his dagger forward. The dagger hit the magical barrier. Catching the dagger in his hand, he thought that it seemed that this space had been sealed. He noticed movement on the roof. The main character thought that something strange was really going on here. He thought what if he analyzes it using his title skill. A dialog box appeared in the visual interface, analyzing the selected quest. The dialog boxes say, Analysis Result. Type, Optional Class Quest. Reward, Hidden Class Exclusive Skill. Ling Si thought in amazement. It rewards a hidden class exclusive skill. Frowning, he thought it was interesting and he would go inside and take a look. Little Bean said with a sigh that they didn't know what kind of mechanisms these prison cells might have, and if they acted too quickly, they might set off a trap like that level 120 monster. He said that they could only wait for Ling Si to come and save them. The girl asked, "It Ling Si that famous guildmaster of their guild, Penumbra?" Little Bean said it was true. The girl exclaimed joyfully that she had heard about his achievements, and they were definitely saved. Tiana thought sadly of Bai Lai's words that she couldn't do anything without Ling Si. Looking inside the prison cell, she thought that she could not continue to rely on Ling Si. After all, he had already done enough for them in Penumbra. Lowering her head, she thought that at that moment she had made the decision not to drag the guild down anymore. Standing at the entrance to the prison cell, Tiana thought that there must be something she could do before Ling Si came. She thought that she could surely come up with something if she put together what they knew so far and calmly analyzed it. She thought that these were clearly 2 prison cells with the same arrangements, and, in addition to the number, the bed, chains, buckets, and everything else were arranged in the same way. She wondered why the level 120 lost shadow appeared when they opened one of them. Looking at the key in her hand, Tiana thought that from a game designer's perspective, since there is a password locked door and a key to open cells, the key to solving the puzzle is the prison cells. She wondered if it was possible that the game wanted them to guess the password from the prison cell numbers. Squinting her eyes, Tiana wondered how they would know which prison cells to choose, since looking at them now, they all look the same. Raising her head, she said that there was a sound coming from above, and they couldn't hear it because they were too loud. Recognizing the melody, she opened her eyes wide. Little Bean asked her if she had found anything. Tiana yelled at everyone to be quiet. As she walked along the prison cells, she thought that although the sound was very quiet, it was becoming clearer and clearer. She approached one of the prison cells. Tiana thought that this was the same melody as before, canon, and this is music encryption magic. The dialogue box says, after casting, the music designated by the caster can be played. Only mage classes can hear the designated music. Tiana thought in shock that this meant that the magician who left them the clue about the piano was not killed, and they continued to leave them clues here. She wondered if prison cell number 9 would be a trap. Bai Lai asked what she was doing. He shouted at her not to open the prison cell randomly. Little Bean shouted that they couldn't fight another level 120 monster again. Sweating intensely, Tiana thought that she didn't trust her intuition. The door opened in front of her, and she thought, it's safe. She said that she now understood how they should solve this puzzle. There was a warning on the visual interface, unable to break through. Ling Si thought that he could only enter the villa, and he could not go to the underground prison level. He thought that he could only find clues at this level. He thought he would look into what this hidden class exclusive skill was. Walking along the red carpet, he thought that, according to the analysis of his title skill, this villa had a hidden puzzle that was hidden deeper, and entering the lower levels via finding the music sheet was just the shallow level. The goal was to divert the player's attention from searching this villa deeper. The main character thought that the class skill hidden in this level is the real key to solving this quest, and, even if there are players who know about this hidden puzzle, they could only give up on this skill due to not knowing how to solve it. Looking to the side, he thought that based on his analysis, the information provided by this villa was not enough to solve this puzzle. Looking at the portraits, he thought that he needed to have at least some understanding of the history of this villa. Little Bean shouted to Tiana that he checked, and this prison has 5 floors. The top 4 floors have 5 prison cells each. Looking inside the prison cell, he said that there were 6 prison cells on the bottom floor if you count the prison cell with the key. He said there were a total of 26 prison cells, and just like she said, it was like the 26 letters in the English alphabet. The girl's portrait had the letter on it. Bai Lai shouted that in prison cell 11 on the 3rd floor, there was a hat hanging on top, unlike the rest of the prison cells. The girl said that there was a doll hidden under the bed of prison cell number 17 on the 4th floor. The guy said that in prison cell number 23 on the 5th floor there was a shirt in a bucket. Tiana thought that they were all different, and there must also be 2 prison cells that were different from normal ones. She thought that opening these prison cells would not activate the monster mechanism. Little Bean shouted that he discovered the shackle, letter I, 2nd floor, prison cell number 6. He said that he only saw it the 2nd time he walked through here, and he did not expect that it was hidden in the shackle. Tiana thought they needed 6 letters to open the door. They found 5 and were left with 1 letter. People shouted that they had searched the 4th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st floors and found nothing on them. Tiana thought that she needed to calm down and think, because they were 1 step away from a decision. She thought that they had found 5 letters on different floors, only there was no letter on the bottom floor, but she searched carefully and found nothing. Thinking about the very beginning, she opened her eyes wide. Raising her finger, Tiana shouted that she understood, and there is only one truth. The wind blew over the roof of the villa. The main character took the picture off the wall. He then installed it in another location. Blue energy glowed underneath the paintings, and Ling Si thought he was done. Using his title, he thought that in order to solve this puzzle, he needed to put this family portrait back together. Doors with bright lights began to open. The main character, peeking around the corner, thought this should be it. Looking at the pedestal, he thought it was a new hidden class. Resurrection spell. Resurrect a teammate using 70% of one's mana. Cooldown 12 hours. Priest class exclusive. Players without a compatible class cannot learn the skill. Can be gifted or traded. Ling Si said that he did not expect that it would be a resurrection spell skill book, which is very rare in the game. He thought that this should be a special chain quest that only priests can accept, and he didn't know about this quest line even in his past life because he was a thief. He thought that based on the original portrait, the story behind this quest was not that simple, and he knew the name of the boy in the portrait. He remembered Howling Mad King and how he read books to find information about him. Looking at the portrait, Ling Si thought it was Mad King when he was young. Tiana said that the truth behind the solution to this puzzle, the last letter, lies in this key. Little Bean asked what she meant. Tiana frowned and told him to think about it. She said they needed 6 letters, and 4 of the 5 floors had prison cells that had letters hidden in them, and now they couldn't find any other prison cells on the top 4 floors. She said that according to the game design, there is a high chance that there should be a hidden letter on the bottom floor too, but the prison cells on the bottom floor are all the same. She said that the only prison cell that was different from the others was the one in which they found the key. The girl said that she carefully examined this prison cell, and there really is nothing different about it. Tiana raised her index finger with a grin and said, "Exactly." She said that since the puzzle in this underground prison is about finding the differences, there should be a reference cell so that players can understand which prison cells are different from others and which are not. Bailai exclaimed that this means that the prison cell with the key is the reference object. Tiana said that this is true, because this is the most suspicious prison cell, which should be found by the players first. She said that this was consistent with the original intent of the game design, and would make players think that opening all the prison cells was part of solving the puzzle. She said that the fallen warrior fell into this logical trap, and opening any prison cell that matches the reference cell will result in the appearance of a monster. Little Bean, eyes wide, said that he thought he understood. He said that the only difference on the lower floor is not inside the cells, but in this way. Tiana frowned and said it was true. She said that since there are 26 prison cells, it represents the 26 letters of the English alphabet. She asked what the key looked like. They exclaimed that this key looked like the letter F. Tiana said that they had already found the letters L, M, Y, A, I, and F. She asked what word this made. The others, lost in thought, could not come up with an answer, and Little Bean, apologizing, said, "His English is bad." Tiana announces that the password is family and she enters it. Bai Lai asked about whether it is not wrong. Little Bean, gritting his teeth, suggested preparing for battle just in case. Tiana frowned decisively and said that she was sure. She thought that she would not drag others down. She entered the password in front of the wooden door. A dialogue box indicated that the password was successfully entered. The door opened and everyone cheered. Tiana's eyes widened in shock. In front of them was a skeleton in a dress, suspended from a chain. Bai Lai asked if this was a cruel joke. She exclaimed that after they had been solving puzzles for so long, this was not the answer. Raising his head up, he asked how they should get through this place. First there was a strange mutual massacre, then monsters and traps in the prison. He asked if they really couldn't get out of here. Tiana said that she received a message from Ling Si. Little Bean asked if he had come to save them. Tiana said that he had already entered the villa, but could not get inside the underground prison. Little Bean asked if that meant he couldn't get to them. Bai Lai, clicking his tongue in irritation, said that he had hoped in vain that he was capable of something. Tiana said that he sent her the Resurrection Spell Priest skill book and said that it could help them. It dawned on her and she opened her mouth slightly. Looking at the skeleton, she exclaimed that she understood. The guy, a level 102 priest, looked at her in amazement, and she happily said that, fortunately, they still had a priest alive. The main character, standing in front of the bookshelf, thought that this should help them. He wondered if there were other ways for him to break in. Looking at the books, he thought that some limited records about this family could be found here. He thought that, indeed, the son of this family is the future Mad King, and this should be a chain quest that allows players to understand the ancient military figures of the game. Ling Si thought that he remembered that when he used the King of Mankind against Mad King had a strange reaction. He thought that there must be some special connection between them. Looking down, he thought that it was a year ago, and he had almost forgotten it. He thought that, regarding the great background design hidden in the game, even in his previous life, he, who only pursued strength, didn't research this at all, and he didn't expect to encounter such in this villa. Noticing something, he was pulled out of his thoughts. He thought, why is there a young girl's picture in the daily records of this family's butler? Looking at the photo of the girl with gray hair, the main character thought that her last name was the same as Mad King, which means she was also a member of the family that lived here. Suddenly, the floor beneath his feet began to shake, and he wondered if they had passed the underground prison level. Smirking, he thought that it looked like they had succeeded. The skeleton turned into a girl with gray hair, and the guy exclaimed in amazement that this skeleton was actually a girl. The girl, raising her head up, asked if it was an earthquake. Tiana said that it looked like the entrance had opened. The girl exclaimed that the real exit was where they came from. Tiana said, raising the skeleton with the resurrection spell was indeed the final key to solving this puzzle. Bai Lai asked how he knew the solution to the puzzle below. The guy exclaimed that for them, priests, the resurrection spell itself is a book that they can only dream of. He said that this skill book can only be obtained from an extremely small number of hidden quests, and the fact that he managed to learn this skill after surviving so many dangers is the best reward for him. Tiana looked in his direction in amazement. She shouted at him to turn around, and behind the guy there was a girl with ominously sparkling eyes. There was an explosion, and they asked if it was the girl they had just saved. The girl was floating in the air, and blood was coming from the eyes and mouth of the dead guy. Bai Lai took out an ice bow and said that this was a level 120 elite NPC and they shouldn't have saved her. Little Bean said that it would be difficult for them to fight her considering how few of them were left. Tiana said that the entrance upstairs was open and they needed to hurry up and go there. They began to climb the stone steps. The girl shot out dark red energy. Someone exclaimed that she was coming. Someone shouted at Tiana to turn around, and she looked back. Ling Si appeared behind her and immediately repelled the attack. They continued up the spiral stone staircase. The main character, dodging the blows of dark energy, jumped high into the air. Using his title's skill, he furrowed his brows. Looking at the NPC girl, he began to analyze. A name appeared above her head, Sophia. Remembering the girl's photo, Ling Si thought that it was really her. He thought it was the girl in the photograph, Sophia Alec, a member of the Alec family who lived in this villa. She thought it was the little sister of Mad King. Sophia pointed her black palm forward. Dark red energy was rapidly approaching the main character. Leaping forward, Ling Si swung his dagger. With one deft movement, he cut off the girl's hand. His hand fell to the floor and he landed. Smirking, the protagonist asked if she was too weak for a level 120 elite enemy. Suddenly he opened his eyes in shock. Dark red energy tightly gripped his body. Looking at the skulls in front of him, he thought in amazement that this was a skill. Tiana walked up the steps. They said they were finally back. Little Bean asked if they should have left Ling Si alone downstairs. Tiana said to have faith in him, because with his maximum level power there shouldn't be any problems, and if they stayed there, they would only hinder him. The girl exclaimed that the villa door was open. The double doors opened slowly. Running towards the exit, Bai Lai exclaimed that they were saved and he had survived. Tiana and the others widened their eyes in amazement. She yelled at him to turn around and there was a dark silhouette behind him. She blocked the attack with green vines. Bai Lai turned around and called out to Tiana. The guy with the sword jumped at her from behind. The blue arrow hit the guy, throwing him to the side. Tiana turned around in shock. She thought that this was the warrior who died earlier. She thought that he was originally level 101, but now he had turned into a level 120 lost shadow. Bai Lai asked if those lost shadows in the underground prison were also players. He turned his head towards the dark silhouette at the door. Frowning, he said that it looked like if they didn't deal with them, they wouldn't be able to leave this place. The main character stood still on one of the upper floors. Sophia used Lost Illusion, and Ling Si froze in place, mouth wide open, in an illusion state. Sophia snapped her fingers. The dark red energy hit the main character in the back and pierced his chest. Ling Si used spectral invisibility and a copy of it ended up in front of her instead. Dark and violet energies clashed in front of the girl. The main character, appearing behind her, said that unfortunately, he knew that it was all an illusion because he analyzed her skill. He said that based on the events that Tiana went through in this villa, she is forcing players to kill each other using these disorientating illusions. Turning around, Sophia blasted out with dark red energy. The main character said with a grin that he would no longer come into contact with her. Wreathed in flames, he told her not to think about embarrassing him again. He used elemental transformation, rock fire dive, and the explosion raised a cloud of dust above the ground. Sophia left a dent in the wall, and Ling Si asked how's that. He said that his elemental transformation is a magical attack and does not count as contact. Looking at her health bar, he said that her defense didn't seem to be high even though she was an elite monster. Towering over her, the protagonist said that he was sorry that when he saved Hua's Ioi, he left in a hurry, so he did not kill enough NPCs for his soul follower marks. He said that if it weren't for that, he could have killed her with one blow. Sophia sat silently on the stone floor. Ling Si said with a smile that it was okay. He would just have to use 1 or 2 more skills. The doors of the prison cell suddenly swung open in an instant. A melody began to echo throughout the underground prison. The voice said not to harm her. Raising his head up, the main character thought it was music. Frowning, he wondered if there were any enemies left here. A red male silhouette appeared behind him. He jumped at him to attack, raising his hand. After striking the enemy with the dagger, Ling Si began to run. He wondered where this mob came from. Similar shadows began to emerge from the prison cells, and he wondered if this underground prison was a trap. The shadows jumped to attack him, and the main character thought about their number. Taking a fighting stance, he shouted to them to attack and help him collect some soul follower marks. Green vines with leaves moved around the room. Tiana, grabbing the armored shadow, said that she had immobilized him. Little Bean frowned and used fire magic. He fired Grand Fireball spell at the enemy. 3 blue magic arrows flashed in the air. Ice arrows struck 2 shadows. Smirking, Bai Lai said that they had not done a co-opus like this for a long time. He said it reminds him of the days when they first joined Nebulous and cleared dungeons together. Tiana looked at him silently. She remembered how Dira rushed to attack while Wasabi ambushed them from behind. She did the control, and Bai Lai and Little Bean covered them. These memories made her smile nostalgically. The armored shadow hit the girl on the ground. Bai Lai said that unfortunately, this thief girl's skill is much worse than Wasabi. Tiana, furrowing her brows tightly, shouted, "Cover." The main character, shrouded in purple energy, fought with shadows. Frowning, he turned his gaze to the side. Several shadows ran towards him to attack. Ling Si dealt with the blue ones by hitting them with a whirlwind of purple energy. He looked at Sophia floating in the air. Raising her hand with the blue magic sphere, she used Curse of Eternal Loss. The dialogue box says, "Curse of Eternal Loss, let the enemy fall into darkness." A curse skill in the form of an energy ball that kills the target upon hit. The main character thought that this was a sure kill skill, which is rare. Noticing something, he opened his eyes wide. Looking at the magic sphere, he thought that its speed was only a measly 15 points. He thought that it might even hit him. A melody sounded and Ling Si opened his mouth in amazement. He thought that this was the same music, and this was the magic of illusion again. Looking at his palms, he thought that spectral invisibility is still on cooldown. A sphere of blue energy was approaching him and he thought he couldn't move. Turning around, the main character noticed a guy who had turned into a shadow. A sphere of blue energy exploded as it reached the floor. Hearing Ling Si's voice, Sophia turned her head. After using rapid backstab, the protagonist said that luckily there are mobs here that she spawned that give him space to backstab. Looking up at the corner of his eye, he thought that there was still an enemy NPC hiding here, and together with her sure kill skill, the risk was quite high. Surrounded by purple energy, he said that, however, just in time, he had enough soul follower marks. Soul follower marks, 30 out of 60. Ling Si pushed off from the stone floor covered in cracks. Jumping up, he thought that this would help him avoid getting confused by that magic illusion again. The voice again shouted not to harm her. The main character struck with a dagger, and a woman with blonde hair covered Sophia with her body. Frowning, Ling Si said that she had appeared. He said that she was the same NPC who had been hiding here all this time. The woman died immediately. Sophia called out to her mother in shock, the shadow disappearing from her face. The main character used Soul Mark and a skull surrounded by purple energy appeared above the ground. Something was quickly approaching him amidst a whirlwind of energy. He opened his eyes in shock. Once in the bluish space, Ling Si wondered if this was an illusion again. Hearing a child's cry, he turned around. Looking to the side, he saw two silhouettes with a basket in their hands. Someone said that there are now two new members in the Alec family. In the basket were two babies, later Alec and Sophia Alec. The man asked in amazement about the curse. Someone replied that Prince Later was cursed by the Claudius family with the help of witches' magic, and only after the Lord gave up the competition for the position of chief counselor would they give a method to lift the curse. The man said that he cannot retreat. He cannot allow the Claudius family to become the chief counselor and control this kingdom. He ordered to find the best magicians in the entire kingdom to find a way to save Prince Later. The man in the black hood said that the curse is too strong, and not a single secret spell from any curse caster can remove this curse. He said that, however, there is a way. He said that they could pass the curse on to another person with the same bloodline. The woman with blonde hair shouted not to do this and just use her body, because Sophia was not to blame for anything. The man said that they have no choice, and this is in order to get this kingdom. He said that as the daughter of their family, perhaps this was her destiny, and from that day on, Sophia never existed in the Alec family. Red blood fell into the water. Someone said that the cursed monster inside her is getting stronger and stronger. Many people have already died by her hand, and normal methods can no longer control her. Sophia cried in her prison cell. The man ordered her to be locked in the underground prison of this villa forever. A crying Sophia sat on her knees in front of the main character, and he asked if that was what she wanted to tell him. The woman said that as a mother, she had failed to protect her own daughter, and her only option was to bring him here to resurrect her. She said that the curse behind her never thought about letting her daughter go. The woman asked to save it for her. Sophia lay on the stone floor, and the woman said that all his friends were also in danger of falling victim to the curse. Ling Si frowned and thought about Tiana and the others.